Hi, boys and girls. Mrs. Hanson here. So today we are going to do a math lesson. For our math lesson, we are going to need some materials. So first, we are going to need our My Math book. So you're going to need your My Math book and a pencil. So if you guys need to pause it and get that, you can do that now. And once you get the My Math book, we are going to need to get pages out, and we need page 509, 510, 511, and 512. So we just need these 2 pages out, and then Mrs. Hanson's going to do the first one with you, and then I'm going to read you the directions, then you guys can do them on your own. But we are going to start out with a little review. So we have our first line of cubes, and let's count them together. Can you count them with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 cubes. Now I want you to think, if I have 6 cubes and I have another row of cubes that have 4 cubes, which one do you think is going to be taller? The 6 or the 4? Well, let's see. So let's see, make sure I have the right amount of cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 cubes. So do you think the 4 cubes is going to be taller than the red cubes? Or do you think it's going to be shorter? Let's see. So you guys can see our red cubes, which have 6 cubes, is taller than our yellow one that has 4 cubes. Why do you think that is? So our 6 cubes, we obviously have more cubes. So if we have more cubes and they're the same size, then it's going to be taller than our cubes that we only have 4 in, right? So 6 is more than 4, and since we know they're the same size, our 6 cubes are going to be taller than our 4 cubes. Good job. So you guys can see on the front of your paper, we are talking about comparing weight. So when we are comparing weight, we are talking about heavier or lighter. So if something is heavier or lighter than something else. So we're comparing it just like we compared length, and just like we could just compare height as well. So I want you guys to think. I have 2 things, and I want you to guess and think what you think is the heavier object. So I have one of our little erasers that we use in class, and then I have this little stone, the little clear stone. Which one do you think, they're both kind of small, but which one do you think is heavier? Right, our stone is actually heavier than our eraser. Our eraser is kind of light. Now the stone is kind of light too, but it just weighs more than our eraser. Now I want you to think about, we have our first paper. This paper is pretty big, right? Now what weighs more, our paper or our rock? This rock is a lot smaller than our paper. So pick up your paper. Do you think your paper is kind of heavy, or do you think it's kind of light? Now think about this rock. It's a solid rock. It's not hollow or anything. This, even though it is smaller than this piece of paper, is actually heavier than our paper. So our paper is lighter than our rock, even though it's bigger, even though it's smaller. So let's start off with page 1, and then I'll read you the directions for the next one so you guys can do them all by yourself. So on the front, we have our teeter-totter. So this is what we're going to be looking at and working on now. So the directions say, find 2 different objects in the classroom. You don't need to find 2 different objects in the classroom. I want you to find 2 different objects at your house. So it could be some type of silverware, some type of toy, some type of art material, anything you can find in your house. I'm sure you guys have lots of things, maybe even something outside your house like rocks or something, but just something that you have at home. And it says, tell which object is heavy and which is light. So just like Mrs. Hanson did, I put the rock in my one hand and I put the eraser in the other hand, and I can tell by feeling them that the rock is heavier than my eraser. So it says draw a picture of each of the objects on the teeter-totter to show which object is heavy and which is light. So I'm going to show you what I want you to do. Now, since our teeter-totter, we have one end that is up and one end is down. So the end that is down, that is the item that is heavier because the weight weighs more than the lighter object. So it's bringing the teeter-totter down. So I am going to draw, we need a pencil, you don't need to have crayons or anything. I'm going to draw my rock right there on the lower part because my rock is heavier. And then I'm going to draw my little rainbow eraser. Remember, you're using objects in your house. So I don't know if you guys have rocks and rainbow erasers, but I'm going to guess you guys are going to have something different. So I want you to draw your pictures so I can see which one is lighter and which one is heavier. So right here, I have my rock. My rock is on the lower part of the teeter-totter because that is heavier. And then I have my rainbow eraser up here. My rainbow eraser is lighter, so it's on the up part of the teeter-totter. So you guys can go get your items, draw your pictures, make sure you have your heavier item on the bottom part of the teeter-totter and your lighter item on the top part of the teeter-totter. So I can tell which one is heavier and which one is lighter. So once you are done with that, we are going to flip over and we are going to do this side. And I'm going to read you the directions and you guys can do this on your own, just making sure you're listening to Mrs. Hanson. So at the top, we have some vocabulary. We have the word weight, which is how it feels. Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? Everything has some type of weight. Some things don't weigh anything. Some things weigh a lot. So thinking about like a mouse and an elephant, we're comparing those two items. Which one has more weight or which one is heavier? The elephant. And then which one is lighter or weighs less? That would be the mouse. So we are looking at two items. We're looking at a boot and a pencil. So thinking about a boot and a pencil, which one would weigh more? So we have a little scale here. And it shows that this side is up a little bit more and this side's down a little bit more. So the item that is heavier will go on the scale that is down a little bit more because it's kind of like our teeter-totter. The heavier item will bring it down where the lighter item will go up. So we are going to look which one is heavier. Our boot is heavier. So we are going to trace our dotted line to the heavier side of our scale. So Mrs. Hanson traced that dotted line. So then since our boot is heavier, that means our pencil is lighter. So we are going to draw or trace our dotted line to the side to show that our pencil would go on the other side of the scale to show that our pencil is lighter than our boot. Got it? All right, so now this, you got to listen so then you guys know what to do. So for 2 and 3, it says compare the objects. So we're looking at our objects. Circle the heavier object and draw an X on the lighter object. So for these next like 5 questions, we're going to circle the heavier object and X the lighter object. If the object weighs the same, you are going to underline it. So it's kind of like the same thing we've been doing with length and height. Circle, heavier object, X the lighter object. So right here, we're going to look at our computer and our monitor, and then we're going to look at our little mouse. So what weighs more? Your computer system, you're going to circle that, or is it the mouse? You're going to circle that if it weighs more. The lighter object, you're going to X. Next, we have our helmet and our bike. Circle the heavier object, X the lighter object. All right, so you guys can put that to the side when you get done with that. If you need to pause it to get that finished up, you can do that now. Once you are done with that, we are going to get this page out, and we are going to do the same thing that we just did on that other page. So you have a paper clip, and it looks like some kind of maybe a lunchbox or some type of container. So this one would be where our lighter object goes, and right here is where our heavier object goes. So just like we did, I want you to draw a line either to the container for the lighter object or the container for the heavier object, and then a line for either the paper clip here or the paper clip over there. So lighter object here, heavier object. Which one of these do you think is heavier or lighter? You guys can do that now. Now we're going to do the same thing down here. We're comparing the objects. We're circling the heavier object and Xing the lighter object. So for our bowl and our spoon, circle the heavier object and X the lighter object. If you think they are the same, you are going to underline them. Now we have a green gallon jug and a red gallon jug. Circle the heavier one, X the lighter one, and underline it if you think they are the same. You guys can do that now. And then when you are done with that, flip your paper. And we're on the very back side, which is our very last paper that you guys are going to do on your own. And Mrs. Hansen's going to read you the directions for this. So we have a whole bunch of different items on the back. It looks like we have some kind of dump truck, a lunchbox, a bed, a feather, a refrigerator, a brush, a kitten, a pencil, and an elephant. Look how cute our kitten is. He's adorable. So the directions for this is, you have all these items. Draw an X on the items that are too heavy to lift. So if you do not think that you can pick up those items, put an X over them. Circle the items that are light enough to lift. So if you think you can pick up those items with no problem, put an X over them. So if they're too heavy for you to pick up, circle them. If they're light enough that you think you can pick them up, put an X on them. And then it says, tell a friend as many items that you think of that are too heavy to lift. So you can tell your mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, thinking about different items that you think are too heavy to lift. Do you think you can pick up your house? Maybe it's light enough. Do you think you could pick up Mrs. Hansen? Do you think you could pick up a pencil? Do you think you can pick up a pillow? So think about different things. Do you think it's too heavy or do you think it's light enough for you to pick up? So for the back, you are just circling the heavy objects and Xing the objects that are light enough for you to pick up. So with that, we're going to end with our weight, comparing weight. So you have these two papers that you are doing. Now, if you want to, you do not have to. This you have to do. If you want to do the next paper, which is the My Homework, you can to just get a little bit more practice. It's the same thing, comparing heavier or lighter objects. And it's 513 and 514. So if you want to do that homework on your own, you are doing the same thing. You're circling the heavy object and Xing the lighter object for the front and the back. So that's what we're doing there. If you want to do that, you do not have to do that, okay? That's just something if you want to get a little bit more practice with your comparing weight. So let me know if you guys have any questions at all. And I hope you guys had fun comparing weight, and make sure that you're practicing at home and telling everybody what items are just way too heavy for you to pick up and ones that you think you can pick up no problem that are light enough. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.